Good afternoon. Welcome back to Passionate World Radio Network. Distinguish yourself from the ordinary. And this afternoon from the International Miami Book Fair, we have another author by the name of Forrest Gander, and he wrote a novel called The Trace. But it's not the kind of book you think the title suggests. So good afternoon, Forrest. How are you today?
I'm good. I love being in Miami. It's a good break from the winter up north.
Yeah, that's true. All that 70-degree weather up in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and Rhode Island.
And in Rhode Island, gee, and it's just so cold up there. We have to come down to Miami. That's only 75 or 80 degrees. You're right. Shucks. So the Trace, from what I can understand, is a journey for parents and their son going through the desert and really learning who they are and what they are.
Yeah, it's the idea that extremity is what shows us who we are. And this couple who have been separated by something that's sort of indistinct. Their son has been in an accident. It's not really clear, and he's been out of touch with them. They take a trip to Mexico, partly to heal themselves, partly to trace the stories of Ambrose Bierce, that great Civil War writer, post-Civil War writer, who disappeared in Mexico.
I love him. He wrote a wonderful Devil's Dictionary.
Yeah, the Devil's Dictionary.
And I love that dictionary.
Internationally, it's really
it's
well known.
One of those awesome things. But you know, this generation may not be aware of that. Ambrose Bierce also wrote a book called The Devil's Dictionary, and if you don't have it, run out and get it along with Forrest's book, because it really is a must to read with any book. So they really are looking within themselves as to who they are and maybe where they went wrong with themselves or gone wrong with their son. It's an introspective book.
It is introspective. It's, you know, as it is when you're stuck on a long journey with someone in a car and you sort of not let out of your own ideas, and then they're driving through the desert, and so the sort of agony and the dryness in their souls is reflected by the landscape around them.
Would you also consider it, since a desert reminds you of the flames or fire, so they're being sort of scorched to really reveal through the layers of what they've built up over the years to protect themselves?
That's actually exactly how I describe it. And the sun coming through them.
I find that very interesting, because I know when a lot of writers try to bear the soul of their individual characters, they choose different methods to do it. And yet a lot of them never really accomplish that because they start tripping over their own metaphors.
Well, for me, I'm really interested in the relationship between landscape and feeling, and how our feelings are involved with the landscape and reflected and interactive with the landscape. And I was born in the desert, in the Mojave Desert, and spent a lot of time in other deserts. And the desert's always been, in most cultures, a sort of testing area, a place where you go for visions to transform. And on their trip to the desert, their car breaks down, they're lost, they have some very life-endangering encounters that change their relationship in interesting ways.
I would think it would, because the desert's not only hot, but gets cold at night. And because you don't understand the environment of how something like that can happen. But I've been in a desert too when I've gone out on several journeys, and it's really a topsy-turvy type of world to be in. 1 minute it's 112 or 120 in the sun, and if your head is not protected, it can do serious damage to you, because it gives you things to look at that aren't really there, but it also makes you think, like you hear music, or you see or you hear other things, rushing water. I understand as well. I never saw rushing water, but anyway, I saw shimmers, and with shimmers you see
definitely.
other things coming in that really don't exist, and then at night it gets so cold that you can freeze.
Yeah.
And then you always have the flash floods in between.
Flash floods, they're, I thought of having a flash flood because I was exploring canyons in Mexico and was in one where there were some famous flash floods. Instead, there's a scene where the injured main character ends up in a cave, and he's kind of hallucinating. He's made the mistake of drinking in his misery the one bottle of tequila that they have with them, which is the worst thing to do in the desert. And then in the evening, the bats come out of this cave from several different directions, and he has no idea at first what's going on.
So tell everybody where they can find you on the World Wide Web. More importantly, tell everybody what your next book is going to be. Is it going to be in the same type of genre, or are you going to explore something else, or are you going to have a quieter book?
Yeah, I don't know. So The Trace is available at any good bookstore, and also in France, where it's done really well, and it's coming out in Mexico and Spain. And my next book, I don't know. I have my wife of 35 years died in January, and that really closed me up. My whole writing life was. I don't know if I'm healing. I'm still sort of lost. So I don't know where I'll go next. I'm a translator also. My most recent book is a book of translations of a Japanese poet named Gozo Yoshimasu. But maybe it'll be our mutual collaboration on a book
I think that would be really good.
Takes place in Mexico.
That would be really good, because I'm a firm believer that languages outside of the United States should be spoken, and that if you don't hear it now, when are you going to hear it? And when I was being brought up, my father was an international troubleshooter. And he made sure that whenever the World Fairs came, we would visit all the countries and eat all their different food, whether we wanted to or not. And we learned a lot at the ages of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it certainly, because he says the type of world you're going to grow in is going to be smaller than the type of world I grew up in, and you have got to be prepared. And that's the way I brought up my son, and certainly with my granddaughters and grandson, their world is going to be so much different from the world that you and I grew up in, or even the world that my son grew up in. What with technology and everything, that they need to know that there are other cultures out there, and there are other forms of justice systems and religions and philosophies, and they won't know it if they only stay attuned to what happens in the United States.
No, it would be deadly. The new century is all about translation. I think it's the major metaphor in mathematics and in art and in philosophy and in linguistics.
And I think too that they have to understand that if they don't get it right on planet Earth, they're not going anywhere.
That's right. That's
right.
I've
heard about,
this is our chance.
This is our chance. We either can do something very, very good with it, or we can destroy Eden.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people say, but we're not in Eden. We've left it. But that's not right. That's not true. We're still in Eden. We haven't been banished from this Eden. But we're doing our best to pull it down and destroy it.
Yes, I think you're right. And I think that attentiveness to others and to other cultures and other languages expands what it means to be human for anyone.
I think so. And I feel if you're not exposed to this, then you never really truly understand who you are or where you belong on the face of this earth in relationship to anybody else.
Mm-hmm. So that's part of why the journey to another country for these characters in The Trace is what's critical for them to learn something, to get out of the ruts of their habits of perception, their habits of feeling, and to encounter something that really challenges them to think differently.
Which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So where are you going to be seen next, Frank?
Where am I? What?
Where are you going to, Forrest, excuse me. Been a long day, sorry.
No, this,
so are you on any more upcoming book tours for this year? Or do you have some coming up for next year?
Yeah, I have several. I just came back from France where the book had just come out, La Trace. And I'm going to be I'm going to be in Japan as a writer in residence in Tokyo in July and August, and that's the plan so far.
Oh, that sounds great. I know my son would be jealous of you. He, with the American Field Service, when he was still in high school, he went over to Japan for a summer and studied, and he loved it. And then the year before that, he went with the American Field Service to Thailand.
Yeah.
And he really liked it, and he was really appreciative that I told him, you work halfway, we'll meet you halfway, but you need to go, get out of the States and see what the world is about, because you can't judge what's going on either politically, economically, what's going on in terms of cultures or societies if you're only seeing it from one side of the coin. You really got to see it from the rest of the world.
Sounds like a good mom.
Yeah, good moms, I was just lucky.
Good point of view.
Good point of view. Well, ladies and gentlemen and children of all ages, thank you very much for seeing Forrest on Facebook Live, and you can see it all over again at facebook.com/groups/PWR Talk Network, facebook.com/PWR Network LLC, twitter.com/@Cauldwell, CAULDWELL, and at https://passionateworldradionetwork.com. And remember, distinguish yourself from the ordinary.
Passionate world. Yeah.
Passionate world. Absolutely.